Okay, why don't we get started? Good morning, everyone. Yeah, you sound as I feel. Pretty tired this morning, but thank you for coming to this early session of the 2019 North Carolina GIS Conference. I'm Michael Blair. I'm going to be walking through a widget that we developed for one of our clients that's a global company. How many of you are developers? Show of hands. Only a couple. Dabble, okay. Web app builder work, story maps, that sort of stuff, online work, so about the same. All right, so some of this will be hopefully not too much over your heads for those of you that are not developers. Those of you who are developers, hopefully you can get something out of it. I'll try to blend the two. So specific to custom applications, we have a client that had some pain points that was specific around needing to be able to identify data from multiple fields. The out-of-the-box query widget is very specific on you need to know which fields, you need to know which data, and is very limiting. So we wanted to be able to have a system that you could search over multiple fields, multiple criteria, and pull those out. And so these are some pain points that they experienced, and they wanted to be able to have those data be updated automatically. So I have a new office that gets spun up or a new department. How do I take this widget, this custom system, and have it automatically populated with that new value in a dropdown? And we're all working around the web app builder framework and eliminating the need for having to always configure specific filters. A little bit about Innovate. This is not a sales pitch about who we are, but just to give you a kind of a background, we are a remote company that's headquartered out of Alexandria, Virginia. We've been in existence since about 2002 and had steady growth. We are dispersed across the nation. I actually live in New Bern. Moved from New Hampshire a couple years ago. Yes, I got the indoctrination by the hurricane real quick, but it's all fine. We were honored to get the Esri Fed Award last year. What's special about us? We are a woman-owned 8A GIS company. Like I said, we are diverse all over the place. And what we try to do is become a strategic partner with our clients. So we learn your business processes and figure out what's going to work for you. This is just a quick snapshot of some of our clients. We do work a lot in the federal space, but we work at tribal, county, state, local, all across, and private enterprise. So let's get into why you guys are here. The custom query widget. So we have a client that has project information that's stored within their own customer relation management system. It's a homegrown system, and they wanted to expose this data through the web app builder framework. They have their information is stored in a SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server database, and they only allowed us access to that data via a SQL view. So they had a canned view and said, you're going to ingest the data that way because we don't want you touching our custom, our content management system. And you're talking about millions of records. This is a global company that has over 5,000 employees that have millions of records. They're transitioning about 10,000 new projects every day. So it's a highly available, if we took it down, it's going to be a big problem. Like I said, database schema, things change over time. They wanted to be able to add additional fields, additional domains, and having that information be dynamically included into the search tools. As I mentioned, the out-of-box web app builder query widget doesn't allow you to have dynamic filtering as well as dynamic data. So your map services, your feature services, you have to specify, I want to only include this data or that data and search on this field or search on that field. In addition, they wanted to be able to search on geography. So give me an address, click on the map, build a radius search, and all of that. And I'm going to show you what it actually looks like, not just words on the screen. Uh, so what did the solution include? We built a custom SQL view, and this is where some of the things may go over some of your heads, hopefully not too much. Basically, we created a view of a view. So in the ArcGIS, ArcMap, ArcCatalog framework, you can create a view, and when you create a view, you can actually create a view of a view. So when you do that, it exposes the data and allows you to go through. And I can get into the more specifics about how you do that, because there are some definitely nuances that we figured out as part of this application build that a lot of folks just don't know what's going on. So then we publish that view as a service. So it's a feature service or table service. It consumes the information via a JSON data feed directly into the Web App Builder custom query widget to generate both the fields and the values from those fields. And then we interactively extended the drop-downs that are in the search criteria to be able to have the user interactively select from them. There's also a new feature, well, fairly new within the last year or so, that if you have multiple points that fall in the same location, it will actually cluster them. So instead of having 15,000 points that fall on it, it will give you a number, and then you can click and actually interact through that. And like I said, we wanted to add geography search to the query widget. As you may know, the query widget, you can't search on geography. There are certain components of geography, but you can't actually interactively work with it. So this is what the original query widget looks like out of the box. If you download it or activate it, you give it a name, which data you want to interact with. When you do that, there's a filter function. You get one field, or you can set a set. So you have multiple fields, but you're very limited to what is exposed to the user. You can have it do it interactive and unique, and for a lot of people, it's great right out of the box, but it does have its limitations. So this is getting more into, and I don't want to lose track of time because we have plenary coming up. So I want to get into more of the view of the views. So what we did is we built a custom view that ingests another view and basically does a group by and pulls all of the data in the specific fields that they have. So this view, which is in SQL, it's a T-SQL run. When you build that, then you create a view of a view. So the big kind of takeaway thing, if you want to have anything from this session, is how the heck do you do this? Well, you can't just publish a service, you can't just publish a view that is a service. You have to go in and actually create an empty data set. It can be a polygon feature, it can be a point feature, it can be a line feature, it doesn't matter, but it has to exist. And then you add that data, and it can be empty. It doesn't have to have anything in it, but you add that empty feature class, and you add the project or the view, the table, to the same map, and then you publish that map as a service. And when you do that, you now have a table that you can query. But you can't, Esri, ArcCatalog, or Pro, or wherever you're publishing the service, if you just try to publish a table, it doesn't work, right? And if anyone has tried that, you went, how do I get my data? And actually, I was having a conversation last night with someone about, we have data, and how do we link that table data, the attribute data, to other data, but I want to expose it in my web map, and I want it to be exposed as a view. Well, this is how you do it. So you take your table as a view, or it doesn't have to be a view, it could just be a table in your database, and then you take your empty feature class, add those two to the map, publish it as a service, and voila, you can query your table just like you would any other table as a feature service. But there's no map data behind it. It's just the attribute table. So that's the aha. How do you overcome that one challenge? That's how you do it. And it's not well known, so it's one big takeaway, I would say. This is the JSON string. So when you query that feature table, pulls out the feature. These are the services that it's hitting. One of them is the project unique values. That's that view that I was just showing you. It pulls in the various data fields, and this is actually what populates the widget. So the label of what's going to show on the screen, which field from the database or from that table it's coming out of, what's going to actually display on the screen. Is it a multi-select? Is it a text box? What is it? And I know this slide is a little hard to see because it's black, but I apologize for that. So actually, let's show you what this thing looks like. So here's your map, right? Here's the query widget. The query widget has in it the ability you can search on an address. When you do that, it zooms the map to that location. It then has the ability to search for projects and proposals. Here's your geography search. Here's your search criteria. And I'm going to actually show you more of an interactive video of this in operation. But then these fields here are populated from that JSON feed directly out of the database. So it's interactive, and as the offices change, so do these drop-downs. Here's our geography search, as well as the ability to go in, and we searched in Office 22, and here are departments we can interactively, through checkboxes, I want this, I want this. And if you're familiar with SQL, it's just running a where statement, where department in 1, 3, 4, etc. But you can't pass that as a statement out of the box. We extended this widget to be able to include that. So in this search criteria, you draw a point on the map, does the radius search of 4 miles in these departments, and when you hit search, it then both reports back, here are your locations of those projects. This is where I was telling you about the clustering, where the projects fall on top of each other. It illustrates how many projects fall within the same location. There's also a report down here that there are 31 results within this search criteria, or in this search radius. This is a further extension of the geographic searching functionality. So we have a point which can do a buffer, a circle buffer. The user can also draw a box, or they can interactively draw a free-form polygon. This is built on the 3x JavaScript framework. The 4.0 or 4x framework allows you to, and if anyone has played with it using the sketch tool, you can interactively drag, and it's really slick. It came out fairly recently. So if you haven't played around with the new sketch tool for polygon drawing and editing, definitely take a look at it in Web App Builder and JavaScript API specifically. And I think this is the video, yes. So let me jump to further into the video so you can see more of the interaction. So what this video is showing, that there's a geographic search, and then here are the offices, and you can scroll down through them, and actually interactively you can select all of the offices. So in this case there are 66 offices. Well, that would be kind of a pain in the neck to have to uncheck 66 offices. So we interactively created this unselect all and select all. So if you unselect all, it unselects all 66, and then you can just interactively click on the ones you want. Same thing with the department. Any of the drop downs, and this is all dynamically generated from that JSON. So if we manipulate that JSON feed by just saying, oh, we have a new field that we want in there, it just drops in and then populates the application, and it's live immediately. So here's our geographic searching. We searched in Chantilly offices in these couple of departments. Like I said, it shows you the report on the bottom. They have the ability to click on that and gives them a full schematic of all of the details of all of 32 projects that fell within that location. You can interactively click on each one of those data points and get more information. So they have all of their background client information, and this is proprietary, so we're not showing it, but you can get all of those details, just like a normal pop-up that you would have in Web App Builder or online story maps, etc. And if you haven't played around with the customization of them, you can rewrite the pop-ups with HTML and with Arcade in the new version. So this is a further refinement of that, doing an interactive search. We also implemented a new tool where if they search on an address and they click on the point, it automatically drops the location on the map and then does a search radius. They can interactively draw a box, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's close to the end of the video, if not. Okay. Oops. And where are we on time? Perfect. So I'm Michael Blair, I'm with Innovate, and at this time I'll open it up for questions if you have any. I know it's a whirlwind and it's first thing in the morning and a lot of information thrown at you, but I'm happy to take any questions that you have or get into more of the specifics of any of the tools. Questions? Yeah.
Did you do a relate to try that you only have the data back to geography?
So the question was, did we do a relate to tie the attribute data back to the geography? So the answer is in the query widget, no. So the query widget is a standalone feature service. But when you do the query, when you select the values from that dropdown, it passes those criteria into a query that's related to the actual geographic features. So it builds your SQL statement, and then it passes that SQL statement into the map feature service as the where clause. That says the user picked department A, B, C, pass that into the where clause into the map feature service. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? None? You guys must need more coffee. Need more strong coffee, exactly. No questions? No comments? Okay, well, I'll leave you to it. If you have any pressing comments or questions, I'll be around for the next couple days. I'm doing another presentation this afternoon on our data management tool. I don't know which room it's in. I'll just give a little plug of the data management tool. If you host map feature services or any services, both on-prem and in the cloud, and have any trouble of trying to keep track of where all of this stuff is and who's consuming it, that's what that talk is all about. It's how you can interactively both get access the metadata that's behind the scenes, as well as the feature service, where it's located, who's consuming it, and which MXD it got published out of, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll leave you to it. Enjoy the conference, and hopefully we'll see you around. Thank you.